Hello, my lovely students. A hearty welcome to this mind-blowing platform, Physics Wallah. My name is Nupur Sharma, and today we are going to do The Midnight Visitor. The Midnight Visitor. What is the chapter really about? Now, secret agents, spies, detectives. Whenever we hear these words, what do we imagine? What kind of images form in our mind? Now, let's look at this person. Okay, what a smart person he is. He's having a gun in his hand. Okay, he's quite handsome, he's well built up, and he's slim, slender. And similarly, if we look at this person, both of these, do you recognize whom they are? They are James Bond. Yes, these actors played the character of James Bond, which is, James Bond. Whenever we talk about James Bond is said to be the most, the most famous detectives of all. Okay, now let's look at the other images as well. Now, Sherlock Holmes. Okay, and here we can see ideal detective. Whenever we think about a detective, these kind of images with a person with a magnifying glass, and here in this case we can see a cigar. Okay, actually the detectives they have a very cool image. Okay, they're having a gun in their hand, just like we can see in this case. Okay, this is an image from one of Shah Rukh Khan's movies, Badshah, and he played the role of a very cool detective in that. And okay, so what kind of a person, what kind of an image forms? A person with a magnifying glass, a person with glasses, a person with a smile. He is a very sly person. And what kind of a personality he has? He is very, thin and not thin, slender person, and he's physically very fit. Okay, these kind of things, these kind of pre-notions we have regarding a detective. But in this chapter, our thoughts, our image regarding the detectives is completely going to change. Today in this class, we are going to meet a detective which has completely different sort of image. Okay, let's find it out. Today in this chapter, we are going to have an overview, then line by line explanation, and in the end, we are going to discuss the key points of the chapter. See, The Midnight Visitor is an interesting detective story. See, I personally love detective stories, and I know you must love it too. Okay, we always love the stories which have, a lot of thrill, which have a lot of suspense and drama, and this story, it is full of that. Now, it was written by Robert Arthur. It is about how a detective named Ausable got rid of his rival Max. Now, we are going to meet a detective today, and his name is Ausable, and we are also going to meet a person, another person whose name is Max. Okay, he's also a detective that we are going to meet, and he's a rival of Ausable. Now, Ausable, by applying his brain in a grave situation, okay, he proves that he's a detective by applying his brain in a very grave situation. The story is full of mystery that unravels in the end. Yes, in the story, we are going to talk about a mystery, okay, a drama, a suspense, okay, which unravels, which unfolds in the end. Unravels means it unfolds in the end. Now, let's come to the chapter. Okay, in the chapter, we are going to meet Ausable. Okay, Ausable, who is the main character of the story, and he is a detective, as I told you, but he does not fit any description of a detective. And the other person is Fowler. Okay, Fowler. Who is Fowler? Fowler is a writer. Okay, he has come to write about Ausable. He was expecting to meet a very smart detective. Okay, a very smart detective with magnifying glass and all the things, the description that we read about. Okay, so Fowler, he had come to meet Ausable, and we are going to meet study about Fowler in the chapter. Okay, now let's start. See, Ausable did not fit any description of a secret agent. Ausable, he did not fit any description, the description that we just discussed about. Okay, now Fowler had ever read. Following him down the musty corridor of the gloomy French hotel where Ausable had a room. Now, what do we see? Fowler. Okay, Fowler was following Ausable. Okay, he had come to meet Ausable to write a story about him. He was following him down the musty corridor. Musty corridor means foul smell. the corridor with a very foul smell of the gloomy French hotel, there was a French hotel which was very poorly lit. Okay, it was a very dark French hotel where Ausable had a room. Ausable had a room there, and Fowler felt let down. Fowler felt let down. He was very disappointed. Okay, he was very disappointed because he was expecting a lot of drama and suspense. But what he saw, he just saw that Ausable was taking him to his room. Okay, it was a small room on the 6th and top floor. It was a small room on the 6th and top floor, and scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. It was not a setting for a romantic adventure. Here, romantic adventure means a very thrilling adventure. Okay, a very thrilling adventure, imaginative, having a fantastic view of reality. Okay, romantic means it was, you know, a very emotional. Okay, the emotions are heightened up whenever we talk about detectives and all. So it did not fit any description. He was not very happy. Okay. Ausable was, for one thing, fat, very fat. As I told you that detectives are expected to be very slender, very well built, but Ausable, he was very fat. And then there was his accent, and his accent, his way of speaking. He spoke French and German passably. He could speak French and Germany, but only passably. Passably means adequate, just adequate. Just adequate French and German he could speak, but he had never altogether lost his American accent he had brought to Paris from Boston 20 years ago. Okay, now we can see that Ausable had come from Boston. He was originally from America, so he had an American accent. He could not leave that. He could not leave that when he learned French. Okay, when he learned French and German. Like in India, we can also see that there are a lot of people who can actually not leave their accent. Their accent is clearly visible, even if they are speaking English. Even if they are speaking in Hindi, we can see that they still have the accent of their own state. Okay, so similarly, he had not left his accent, although he was a detective and his work was to fool the other people. So he could have picked up the French accent, but he did not. It was an American accent, so obviously Fowler was again disappointed with his accent as well. You are disappointed. And even Ausable noted that. Ausable also noted that Fowler is feeling very disappointed. Okay, obviously Ausable was a detective, and detectives actually, they can read your facial expressions, and Ausable clearly told that you are disappointed, my friend. He said wheezily over his shoulder. Wheezily means breathing heavily. Breathing heavily. Obviously, he was a very fat person, so he was breathing heavily over his shoulder. And he said, you were told that I was a secret agent, a spy, dealing in espionage and danger. You wish to meet me because you are a writer, young and romantic. Now, as I told you that he is a detective, so he clearly noticed that, see, I know, Fowler, you are very disappointed because you were expecting to meet a secret agent, you were expecting to meet a spy, and a spy dealing in espionage. Espionage means spying. You must have expected that I was spying, and you were expecting danger, but you have met me. Okay, you have met a person like me. Obviously, you are a writer, you are young, and you are romantic. As I told you, who is romantic? Romantic means who want a fantastic view of the reality, who are expecting, you know, some drama and all these things. Okay, so, but he did not get that. You envisioned mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine. He said you envisioned. You envisioned. Here envisioned will mean you imagined. Okay, he is telling what Fowler would have imagined. Fowler would have imagined mysterious figures, strange figures in the night. He must be expecting pistols, and he must be expecting drugs in the wine, as we can see in the movies, that whenever we are talking about a detective story, whenever we are talking about a thriller story, some people are mixing drugs in the wine of people, you know, just in order so that they can to knock them down and they can get their work done. So he also said that I know that you're quite disappointed because you're not seeing any of those things, because you're very young and romantic, but you are disappointed. Now, Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand by dark-eyed beauties, gets only a prosaic telephone call making an appointment in his room. See, if you have watched James Bond movie 007, okay, if you have watched the movies like that, you must have seen that there are beautiful girls in that, the dark-eyed beauties who are slipping messages like that, and their only work is to, you know, pass messages. They are actually the secret messengers of the agents. So he also said that you have, but what you have met a sloppy person like me, and you have spent a very dull evening, a very boring evening. Here dull means boring. You have just saw a very boring evening and in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man. Sloppy means carelessly dressed. Okay, he is very carelessly dressed, and you did not see any dark-eyed beauties slipping messages to me. You have just seen me make a prosaic telephone call. Here, prosaic means a very ordinary telephone call. Okay, you have just seen that I have made a very ordinary telephone call, making an appointment in his room. He had, you know, made a call. He had made a call, a very ordinary call to a person, and about an appointment, and that too in his room. Okay, and that too in his room. You have been bored. He clearly noticed that Fowler was bored. The fat man chuckled to himself as he unlocked the door of his room and stood aside to let his frustrated guest enter. Now, the fat man chuckled. He chuckled. Chuckled means that smiled to himself. Chuckled means, you know, slowly grimming. Laughed quietly without opening his mouth. Chuckled is like, okay, I know that you're very much bored. And he was saying all these things he was saying while he was passing the corridor, and now while he was opening the door. Okay, he just opened the door for Fowler, and Fowler also entered. Fowler also followed, and he is actually called a frustrated guest. Here we can see that Fowler is called a frustrated guest. Obviously, he was frustrated. He was not very happy, and he was very disappointed. He was very bored, just like us, because when we imagine about a detective, we imagine very different sort of things, but Ausable was completely opposite to that. You are disillusioned. You are disillusioned, Ausable told him. You are disillusioned. Disillusioned means that you are wrong, my friend. Okay, you are wrong. You do not know everything. You do not know the things, Ausable told him. But take cheer, my young friend. Presently you will see a paper, a quite important paper, for which several men and women have risked their lives. Now he is trying to console him, and he is telling him that, okay, I know that you're disappointed, but you are disillusioned. You are disillusioned. It means that you are taking the things wrong. You are taking the things in a very wrong way. You will just see a paper. Okay, you are going to see a paper, a very important paper. And for that paper, many men and women have sacrificed their lives. It means that the paper is so important, and I am going to get that paper. Just come to me. And so, okay, he is saying that women, come to me someday soon. That paper will affect the course of history. In that thought is drama, is there not? Now he is trying to tell that, okay, I am going to have a very important paper, and that paper is going to change the history. He is actually trying to console him that everything is going to be fine, and you are going to see a little bit of drama today, because obviously that paper is so important that it is going to change the course of the history. The complete course of history it is going to change. It is such an important paper. Now, is it enough drama for you? Okay, my bored and frustrated guest, is it enough drama for you? So Ausable is saying all these things to his guest, and that is Fowler. As he spoke, Ausable closed the door behind him. Now, as he was speaking, Ausable closed the door behind him. He was closing the door behind him, as I told you that while talking, while saying all these things, they were passing the corridor, and they were, trying to get into their room, and Ausable was opening the door, and Fowler was entering. Then he switched on the light. Okay, he switched on the light. And as the light came on, Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. As the light came on, as soon as there was light, Fowler had his first authentic thrill. The real thrill of the day. For halfway across the room, a small automatic pistol in his hand, stood a man. Obviously, it was a time for a little bit of drama. It was a time for a little bit of thrill. As soon as the room opened, as soon as Ossible and Fowler entered, they saw a man halfway across them. They saw a man just opposite to them, and there was an automatic pistol in his hand. Obviously, okay, it was a little bit of drama. Now, Ossible blinked a few times. Actually, he could not believe that, okay, what is happening? Max, he wheezed. Max, okay, he said like that. Max, okay, he was just breathing so heavily. And he said, you gave me quite a start. You gave me quite a start means you surprised me. Okay, now Ossible was telling Max that, Max, you have surprised me. I thought you were in Berlin. I was thinking that you were in Berlin. What are you doing here in my room? Okay, now Ossible was asking Max that what is he doing in his room. Obviously, he was very surprised to see Max. He was not expecting Max in his room. He thought that Max was in Berlin. So he said that, okay, I'm in a start. I am very much surprised. What are you doing here? I was expecting you not to be here. And what is the purpose of your visit? Max was slender, a little less than tall, with features that suggested slightly the crafty, pointed countenance of a fox. Now they are explaining that how Max looked. Max was slender. Okay, he was thin. Okay, smartly thin. Okay, thin, not malnutrition, but he was thin. You know, the good thin. Okay, good amount of thin he was, and a little less than tall. He was a little less than tall. He was not very tall. And with features that suggested slightly, he had features like that of a fox. The fox has, you know, very pointed features. The fox has very pointed features, and Max had those kind of features. There was about him, aside from the gun, nothing especially menacing. Okay, nothing especially menacing. It means that he was looking quite normal. He was also not looking very dangerous. Okay, now here menacing means dangerous. He was not at all looking dangerous, except for the fact that he had a gun in his hand. If he did not have gun in his hand, he would not look very dangerous. So, the report, he murmured. Now, he murmured, Max murmured the report. Murmured means, you know, whispered. He said like this, report, the report that is being brought to you tonight concerning some new missiles. I thought I would take it from you. It will be safer in my hands than in yours. Obviously, there comes the smart dialogues. Whenever we talk about the detective movies and detectives, they speak in a very sly manner. They speak very cleverly. Okay, so now comes a very clever dialogue. He said that, okay, I'm talking about the reports. I'm talking about the reports regarding the new missiles. Okay, I have come to take it from you, and I thought that it would be safer with me. Now, it's a very smart dialogue, and we were expecting these kind of dialogues from Max. So now we can see that he had come to take those important papers that Ossible was talking about, that Ossible was telling Fowler about, that you are going to see the papers that are going to change the course of our history. Now we know that these important papers were about some new missiles. Ossible moved to an armchair and sat down heavily. Ossible moved to an armchair. There was an armchair. Okay, you know what kind of what is an armchair? Armchair is like this, okay, where you can put your arms and you can relax. He sat on that and sat very heavily. Okay, sat like that. I am going to raise the devil with the management this time, and you can bet on it. I am going to raise the devil with the management this time. It means that I am going to complain. I am going to file a complaint. I am going to complain the management, and you can bet on it. Obviously, you can bet on it that I am going to complain. He's very certain about it. He said grimly. He said grimly. He said it very sadly, with a very sad mood. This is the second time in a month that somebody has got into my room though through that nuisance of a balcony. Now he said that this is the second time in the month that somebody has entered into my room through this nuisance of a balcony. He was talking about a balcony, and it was a nuisance, it was a problem, okay, it was a problem, it was a menace for him. Now we can say that Oswald thought that Max has come to his room through a balcony, and he is saying that I am going to complain to the management because it is the second time that somebody has entered into my room through that balcony. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. It was an ordinary window against which now the night was pressing blackly. Now obviously Fowler was a writer, and he had come here to, you know, write a story. So when he talked about, as soon as Oswald talked about a balcony, now Fowler saw that which balcony is he talking about. His eyes just went to a single window. There was a single window in that room through which the night was pressing blackly. The night was pressing blackly means it was completely dark. It was completely dark outside, and as we can see that they are talking about a midnight visitor. It was midnight, so obviously it was very, very dark outside, and his eyes went on that single window. Balcony, Max said with a rising inflection. Balcony? He said, balcony? Are you talking about a balcony? Max said with a rising inflection, with a rising concern. He was actually doubting her. Really? Are you talking about a balcony? No, a passkey. I did not know about the balcony. It might have saved me some trouble had I known. It's not my balcony. Okay. So now Max is saying this. Okay, Max said with the rising inflection, he was actually doubting, and he was saying, a passkey? A balcony? I have come with a passkey. Passkey means a master key. Max had entered the room through a master key. He said that I have entered with a master key. Have I known that there was a balcony outside, I would have come by the balcony, okay, and it would have saved me some time because I could have easily come through the balcony. Oswald said, it's not my balcony. Now, Oswald said, see, it's not my balcony. Oswald said with extreme irritation, it belongs to the next apartment. He glanced explanatory at Fowler. Now, as he asked that, okay, see, I'm not talking about my balcony. It's not my balcony. It belongs to the next apartment. And while Max was looking at him, and that obviously he was trying to question him, so he explained him. He glanced at him explanatory. He looked at him explanatory at Fowler. Okay, Fowler was doubting that which balcony are they talking about. So he explained, you see, he said, this room used to be a part of a large unit. Now he explains that this room used to be a large unit, and the next room through that door there used to be the living room. It had the balcony which extends under my window. Now you can get onto it from the empty room 2 doors down, and somebody did last month. The management promised to block it off, but they haven't. Now he was explaining to Fowler, Oswald was explaining to Fowler that this is actually not my balcony that I'm talking about. This belongs to the next apartment, and there was, through that door, he pointed at a door, and he said that through that door opened a room. There was a room there, and it was a living room, and it had a balcony which extended. Okay, sometimes it happens now that there are 2 rooms. It was a single room, and the balcony was extending. To his room. Okay, we can see that Oswald was here. Oswald, Max, and Fowler were here. Okay, and this balcony extended to the other room, which extends under my window. Now you can get onto it from 2 empty rooms, 2 doors down. 2 doors down means that after 2 doors, after 2 rooms, the rooms are empty, and easily someone can enter into those rooms and then easily into my balcony. Because the balcony extends there, somebody can easily come. Maybe. Now, there are a lot of students who have a doubt that why can't the next person, the people in the next room, why can't they come to his room? Maybe those rooms are booked. The people who are thieves, only those people are going to come into his room. That is why he said that two doors down, the rooms are completely empty, and through that empty rooms, anyone can enter into my room, not through the other rooms. Maybe the other person are not interested, because usually they had a guest, and why would a guest enter into other guests' room? So he said that the management promised. Now he said that the management promised that they are going to block it. Obviously, he raised a concern when Ossible came to know about the balcony. He told the management that somebody had entered into my room through the balcony, and it is creating a lot of nuisance. It is creating a lot of problem. Please block it off. And management promised that they are going to block it off. Max glanced at Fowler, who was standing stiffly not far from Ossible, and waved the gun with a commanding gesture. Please sit down, he said. Now Max glanced at Fowler as Ossible and Fowler were having the conversation. Now Max looked at Fowler, and he said with a commanding gesture. Obviously, he had a gun in his hand. He was, a superior at this time, and he said, okay, now sit down. He commanded him to sit down. We have a wait of half an hour. Obviously, we are going to wait for half an hour, I think. 31 minutes, Ossible said moodily. The appointment was for 12:30. I wish I know how you learned about the report, Max. Now we can see that Ossible is very angry. Okay, that is why, we can see that Ossible is not in a very good mood. And Ossible is saying that when Max told that we have to wait for half an hour, because Max already knew that the report is going to come in half an hour, and he said no, not half an hour, 31 minutes to be very precise. And he said in a very angry manner, the appointment was for 12:30. I wish I knew how you learned about the report. Now he was completely disappointed. Okay, Ossible was completely disappointed. He was very mad at Max that how did you come to know about the report? Okay, it was such an important report. The little spy smiled evilly. Now the little spy smiled evilly, and we wish we knew how your people got the report. But no harm has been done. I will get it back tonight. What is that? Who is at the door? Now, the little spy. Who is the little spy here? Max. Now Max was smiling evilly. Obviously, he was getting, he was very happy. Okay, I got to know about your report. And he saw that Ossible was very disappointed. He was happy to see Ossible disappointed. And he said, okay, I'm not telling you, but even we wish that how you got the report. As I told you that it is full of very clever dialogues. So he said, okay, you wish to know that how I came to know about the report, but I, wish to know that how you got the report, how you people got the report. But okay, no harm has been done. I am going to take it again from you. Today, I am going to take it back from you. What is that? Who is at the door? Now, suddenly Max says, what is that? Who is at the door? Okay, there was somebody knocking on the door. Okay, again suspense. Okay, again a suspense. Again a drama comes that there is someone on the door. Now, Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. Ossible just smiled. That will be the police, he said. I thought that such an important paper as the one we are waiting for should have a little extra protection. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was all right. Obviously, as the knocking was, somebody was knocking on the door. Max jumped at the sudden knocking. He jumped. He was actually scared. Here, jump means he was scared. He was scared. He was startled. He was startled at the sudden knocking at the door. And Ossible informed him that it must be the police. I have told police to check on me. Obviously, since I'm having such important papers. So I told the police that you have to come daily to keep a check on me, that whether I'm safe or not, and whether the papers that I'm going to have are safe or not. And I need a little protection. Just in order to have some little protection, I call the police. The police comes here daily to have a check on me. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was all right. Everything was all right with me. I was safe. So police had come to inquire. Max bit his lip nervously. Now Max, obviously he was very nervous. The knocking was repeated. What will you do now, Max? Ossible asked. If I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway. The door is unlocked. Now Ossible was telling Max that, Max, what are you going to do today? What are you going to do now? Okay, you are in trouble. You are in trouble because police is going to enter anyway. The door is unlocked. What are you going to do? How are you going to save yourself? And obviously, you have a gun in your hand. Okay, you have, you are the trouble. You are here to cause a trouble to me. Now, the door is unlocked and they will not hesitate to shoot. They will not hesitate to shoot because since you have a gun in your hand, and as I told you that, as I told the police that I need extra protection, they are going to shoot you. Max's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window. Now, Max's face was black with anger. Max was becoming very angry. Okay, Max was not very happy at all this. Okay, he was not very happy and he backed swiftly towards the window. He went swiftly, okay, very smoothly, okay, very slyly. He went towards the window. He swung a leg over the sill. He swung, okay, swung here means swing, or you can also say hung. He hung his leg. He hung his leg over the sill. Sill, you know what is sill? Sill means the window, the opening of the window. He kept his leg like that. He hung his leg outside the window. Send them away. He told them, send them away. He warned, I will wait on the balcony. Send them away or I'll shoot and take my chances. The knocking at the door became louder and a voice was raised. Mr. Rossable, Mr. Rossable, now. Send them away. Send them away. Now, Max is telling Ossible that you have to send them away. I'm warning you because I have a gun in my hand. I'm definitely going to shoot. I am going to take the chance and there will be a brawl and anybody can get hurt. So, I'm telling you that you have to send them away and I am going to wait at the balcony. I'm going to wait in the balcony. And now, with time, the knocking was becoming louder and louder. The person who was behind the door, he was knocking badly and he said, Mr. Rossable, Mr. Rossable. He was also calling Ossible's name, keeping his body twisted so that his gun still covered the fat man and his guests. The man at the window grasped the frame with his free hand to support himself. Now, keeping his body twisted. Max. His here means Max. Now, Max had his body twisted. His body was twisted. He was also, covering the fat man. The fat man means Ossible and his guest. His guest means Fowler. He was covering them. Okay, just in order, he did not want to take any chances. So he was like doing like that. Okay, as I'm going to jump, I'm also going to cover them so that they do not make any kind of mistake. So the fat man here is Ossible and his guest Fowler. Okay, he was pointing the gun. He was still pointing the gun at Ossible and Fowler. The man at the window grasped the frame with his free hand to support himself. Now what he did, he had just hung his one leg. Now he, grasped the window. He held the window to support him. Then he swung his other leg up and over the window sill. Now he also freed. Now he also brought his other leg, and he hung the other leg also. And now he was sitting at the window. Now he was sitting at the window. First he put one leg, first he hung one leg outside the sill and then another sill, and now he was, holding the window. The doorknob turned. The doorknob turned. Swiftly Max pushed with his left hand to free himself from the sill and dropped to the balcony. And then as he dropped, he screamed once shrilly. Now what happened? Max pushed himself. Now Max, he jumped out of the window. He was actually very scared. He was actually very nervous because he was thinking that police is outside. And now he took his chances and he jumped out of the window and to drop to the balcony that Ossible was talking about. And then as he dropped, there was a loud and sharp shrill. Shrill means a very sharp voice. Okay, it was, he was shouting, he was screaming with a very high pitch. Okay, it was a very loud sound that he was making when he jumped out. The door opened and a waiter stood there with a tray, a bottle and 2 glasses. Now, to everyone's surprise, there was no police outside. There was just a man, there was just a waiter, and he had a tray, a bottle and 2 glasses in his hand. Here is the drink you ordered for when you returned. Now, it was a drink. He had brought the drink that Ossible had ordered when he came to the hotel. He said and set the tray on the table. Deftly uncorked the bottle. Deftly here means very skillfully. Okay, skillfully, cleverly, slyly. he uncorked the bottle and left the room like we uncorked the wine bottle, and he just poured the wine. White-faced Fowler stared after him. White-faced here, white face means that he was scared. His face was white. Fowler was very scared, and he was staring at Ossible. He was not actually trying, he was trying to understand that what is happening. He did not know that what had just happened. He was expecting police to come into the room, but instead it was just a simple waiter. And he stammered, the police. He said, oh, the police. He stammered, he stuttered, the police. There were no police. Now Ossible said, there were no police. Ossible sighed, only Henry, whom I was expecting. But won't that man out of the balcony? Fowler began. No, said Ossible. He won't return, you see, my young friend. There is no balcony. Now, obviously, Ossible told his friend Fowler, see, you do not need to worry. There is no police. And then Fowler inquired that what about the man? What about the man that who is waiting outside the balcony? He is going to shoot us when he is going to come to know that you were lying to him and there is no police. He is going to come inside the room again. Now he said that, see my friend, you didn't understand. There is no police and there is nobody outside because there is no balcony. Here we can see the presence of mind of Ossible. The reality was that there was no balcony outside. Okay, there was no balcony outside. He had just made up that story. He had just made up a balcony. Okay, it was just a false balcony. There was no balcony. And when actually Max jumped out, he jumped from the 6th floor. As we know that they were on the 6th floor, they were on the top floor. Obviously, when Max jumped out of the window, he jumped straight. He just jumped outwards and downwards, and he fell on the road. He must have fell and he must have died. Okay, so they did not have anything to worry about, and it was just a very clever plan of Ossible, like we expect from the detectives. Okay, the detectives have to have, they have to have a very, very clean state of mind. They have to have presence of mind. They should, readily be able to make up stories and to, save themselves and others. And that is what Ossible did. He just made up a story then and there, just in order to fool Max. He just duped Max, and Max died on the spot. Okay, now let's discuss the key points of the chapter. Ossible was a witty secret agent who was too fat to be a secret agent based on his physical appearance. Okay, in the first key point, we are explaining about Ossible, that he was very witty. Obviously, in the end, we came to know that he is actually very witty, and he was a secret agent. He was very fat. And he was with a writer friend Fowler, who realized that he is exactly the opposite of what he had imagined about him. Obviously, we expect very different things from a detective, and he was completely opposite to that, and he was highly disappointed to meet Ossible. Ossible told Fowler that he had been thinking wrong, and very soon he would be looking at a very important report which would change the country's future. As Ossible said that, my dear friend, you are disillusioned, you are thinking in a very wrong way. You have been thinking wrong, and soon you are going to have the drama of the day when you are going to see a paper that is going to change the history of life. You are going to see a very important paper today. They both planned to spend some time in the evening. They both went to his room, but when they entered the room, another guy, Max, with a gun was standing there. Another authentic thrill of the day was yet to be seen. When they entered the room, they were expecting that they are going to spend time in Ossible's room, which was in a very dark, gloomy French French hotel. And as soon as they entered the room of Ossible, they saw that there was a man whose name was Max, and he had a gun in his hand. This was really adventurous for Fowler. Meanwhile, Ossible started with a story about a hypothetical balcony below the window of his room. As we know that it was very adventurous. It was really adventurous for Max, and Max was very happy. Okay, I'm having the authentic thrill of the day. But here we can see that Ossible, meanwhile, he was making a story about a hypothetical balcony, about a fake balcony, which actually did not exist. As they were talking, somebody was continuously knocking at the door. Oswald said that the police were at the door. They came to check him and his room on a regular basis. Now, Oswald told Max that the police regularly come to my room, as I have told the police that I need extra protection because I have such important papers. I'm such an important person, so I need to be checked on a daily basis. So he informed that police must be on the door and they must have come to take a check on me. Max, pointing his gun towards both of them, said that he would be waiting in the balcony, and during this time Oswald should send away the police, otherwise he would shoot them. Now we could see that Max warned Oswald that you just send the police away, otherwise I'm going to shoot and take my chances, so you just send them away, and meanwhile I am going to wait on the balcony that you just told me about. As the doorknob is turned in loud, Max jumps out of the window and they heard a loud scream. When he jumped outside, they heard a loud scream. Obviously, the scream was because he had actually fallen from the 6th floor of a building. There was a waiter at the door who brought the wine that Oswald had ordered. We could see that Oswald had ordered a wine when he just entered the hotel. He must have told the waiter that bring the wine to my room. Fowler, surprised after seeing all that, asked Oswald about the police. Now Fowler was surprised. He did not understand what was going on. Oswald replied that there was no police. Fowler again asked about Max, who was waiting in the balcony outside the window. Oswald replied that the person who would not return, as there was no balcony at all. Now Oswald told Max that there is no balcony. Okay, there is no police, there is no balcony, and now there will be no Max. Max is not going to return. The person is not going to return because there is no balcony in this room. He just fell from the 6th floor to his death. Now, the key point, last key point, this shows the quick wit of Oswald as he took advantage of the situation and successfully made Max nervous. Under his nervousness, he jumped out of the window without any thought. He jumped from the top floor of the hotel and hence died. Thus, Oswald outwitted Max and saved himself from a very dangerous situation. Now, we see that with the great presence of mind of Oswald, and he had such a witty mind, he was able to dupe Max. He, took the, he took the advantage of the situation, and he was successful to make up a story. And he sensed that Max was getting nervous. Max was getting nervous that when there is a knocking on the door, and he just told him that you have to jump out, and he was able to outwit Max, and he saved himself from a very dangerous situation. So now in the end, we just realize that the looks are not very important. Okay, he must not be looking like a detective, but his mind was just working like a full-fledged detective. Okay, now I hope you liked this chapter. I liked it a lot. Okay, it was full of witty, humor. It was full of witty humor, and we could see that in the end, how successfully Oswald outwitted Max, and he was able to, save himself and his friend from the danger. Okay, thank you so much, Bacho. We'll meet in the next class. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.